Hello friends, welcome to my YouTube channel. In today's session we will see Staffner's model paper. First question. Which of the following condition may require fluid restriction? The options are A. Fever, B. Chronic obstructive pulmonary disease, C. Renal failure, and D. Dehydration. Which of the following condition require fluid restriction? And the answer is option C. Renal failure. People on dialysis need this special diet to limit up the buildup of waste products in the body. Limiting fluids between dialysis treatment is very important because most people on dialysis urinate very little. Without urination, the fluid will build up in the body and cause too much fluid in the heart and lungs. That is why the patient may require fluid restriction. The most common site used for taking liver biopsy is. The options are A. Lumbar region, B. Sacral region, C. Umbilical region, and D. Hypochondriac region. And the answer is option D. Hypochondriac region. Percutaneous biopsy is the most commonest type of liver biopsy. It involves inserting a hollow needle through the abdomen into the liver. Because the liver is located in the right hypochondriac region where it receives the protection from the underlying thoracic cage. So as the liver is present in the hypochondriac region, we should insert the needle at that site. False sensory perceptions that has no base in reality. Options are A. Delusion, B. Illusion, C. Hallucination, and D. Fantasy. The answer is option C. Hallucinations. A hallucination is a perception in the absence of external stimuli that has the qualities of the real perception. Which position is used to give enema to patient? The options are A. Knee chest position, B. Sims position, C. Mid-Fowler's position, and D. Supine position. The answer is option A. Knee chest position. The common position used for an enema is mainly two positions, left side position and knee chest position. Here in the option they have not given left side position, so ultimately the option is knee chest position. Glycerin enema is an example of. The options are A. Astringent enema, B. Purgative enema, C. Emollient enema, and D. Retention enema. Glycerin enema is an example of emollient enema. Emollient enema, it is an introduction of bland solution into the rectum for the purpose of checking diarrhea or smoothing and relieving the irritation on an inflamed mucous membrane. Glycerin is used in the form of suppository. A patient is admitted with dehydration as a result of prolonged watery diarrhea. Which intervention ordered by the physician should the nurse question? The options are A. Parenteral albumin, B. Saline, C. Potassium supplement, and D. Half normal saline solution. The answer is option A. Parenteral albumin. Infusion of human albumin causes within a few minutes the movement of fluids from the interstitial space into the circulation. This passage of fluid is, however, limited or absent in dehydrated patients unless the dehydration is corrected. So, we should not administer parenteral albumin. Because of this albumin, immediate fluid movement may take place. Next question. Enlarged thyroid is a result of dash deficiency. The options are A. Calcium, B. Iodine, C. Iron, and D. Phosphorus. Thyroid is a result of iodine deficiency. The answer is option B. The most common cause of thyroid enlargement is nutritional deficiency of iodine required to produce thyroid hormones. If there is not enough iodine available, the thyroid gland reacts by becoming enlarged. Which of the following is true about benign prostate hypertrophy? The options are A. It is a congenital abnormality. B. It usually becomes malignant. C. It causes an elevated acid phosphatase. And D. It predisposes to hydronephrosis. And the answer is option D. It predisposes to hydronephrosis. Upper urinary tract dilation or hydronephrosis is consistent with chronic renal failure due to obstructive uropathy. In men with BPH and increased serum creatinine levels, hydronephrosis is common. It almost occurs in 1/3 of the patient. Glucose is. The options are A. Filtered, reabsorbed and secreted. B. Filtered and reabsorbed but not secreted. C. Filtered and secreted but not reabsorbed. And D. Filtered and neither secreted nor absorbed. And the answer is option B. Filtered and reabsorbed but not secreted. So usually for a healthy adult, approximately 180 grams of glucose is filtered by the glomerulus every day. And in 180 this gram, approximately 90% of the glucose is first filtered in convoluted segment of proximal tubule, and remaining 10% is reabsorbed by the descending proximal tubule. So it is option B, filtered and reabsorbed but not secreted. A simple squamous epithelium is a term. The options are A. Tissue, B. Cell, C. Organ and D. Pathology. And it is a simple squamous epithelium is a tissue. A simple squamous epithelia are the tissues formed from one layer of squamous cells that lines the surfaces. Which of the following is not one of the three external covering of the kidney? The options are A. Renal capsule, B. Adipose capsule, C. Renal adventitia and D. Renal fascia. The answer is option C. Renal adventitia. Kidneys are encased in a complex layer of fascia and fat. They are arranged as follows: deep to superficial. First deep layer is renal capsule. It is a tough fibrous capsule. And next layer is renal fascia. It encloses the kidney and suprarenal glands. And the third layer is adipose capsule. It is a layer of adipose tissue surrounding the renal capsule and that protects and supports the kidney. Increased blood sugar level is found in. The options are A. Diabetes mellitus, B. Pancreatitis, C. Hyperparathyroidism and D. All of the above. And the answer is option D. All of the above. In all these cases, blood sugar is rises. We will see why. First, diabetes mellitus. It is a disorder in which blood sugar levels are abnormally high because the body does not produce enough insulin to meet its needs. Next is pancreatitis. In pancreatitis, the cells are damaged that produce insulin and glucagon. So these are the hormones that control the amount of sugar in the blood. So this leads to an increase in the blood sugar levels. Hyperparathyroidism is associated with abnormalities in glucose tolerance and insulin secretion. So in these three cases, there is an increased blood sugar level will occur. Primary prevention for cervical cancer includes except. The options are A. Raising the age of marriage, B. Use of condom during early intercourse. C. Effective therapy of STDs. And D. Radiotherapy. And the answer is option D. Radiotherapy. Primary prevention. Human papilloma virus vaccination targets the girls aged 9 to 13 years, aiming to reach them before they become sexually active. So the first three are the interventions of primary prevention. Winging of scapula is due to paralysis of. The options are A. Axillary, B. Long thoracic, C. Radial, and D. Medial. And the answer is option B. Long thoracic. We will see what is winging. Medial winging is more common. It is being caused by serratus anterior paralysis. It is typically due to the damage of the long thoracic nerve. This nerve supplies the serratus anterior, which is located on the one side of the thorax and acts to pull the scapula forward. So you can see in diagrammatic representation, trapezius swinging. The shoulder is depressed, scapula translated laterally, and inferior angle rotated laterally. A system is defined as a group of dash that function together. The options are A. Cells, B. Tissues, C. Molecules, and D. Organs. And the answer is option D. Organ. It is a group of tissues in a living organism that has been adapted to perform a special function. In higher animals, organs are grouped into organ systems. Example, esophagus, stomach, and liver are the organs of the digestive system. A junction at which an impulse travels from one neuron to another is called as. The options are A. Synapse, B. Stimulus, C. Nerve massage, and D. Axon. And the answer is option A. Synapse. In the nervous system, a synapse is a structure that permits a neuron to pass an electrical or chemical signal to another neuron or to a target effector cell. Which of the following nursing intervention is considered as the most effective form of universal precaution? A. Cap all used needles before removing them from the syringes. B. Discard all used uncapped needles and syringes in an impenetrable protective container. Wear gloves when administering an IM injection. And D. Follow enteric precaution. And the answer is option B. Discard all used uncapped needles and syringes in an impenetrable protective container. Applied universally in caring for our patients. The principles are: first one is hand washing, second one is decontamination of equipment and devices, use and disposal of needles and sharps safely, that is no recapping, wearing protective items, prompt cleaning up of blood and body fluid spills, system for safe collection of waste and disposal. These are the universal precautions. When transferring the patient from a bed to a chair, the nurse should use which muscle to avoid back injury? The options are A. Abdominal muscle, B. Back muscle, C. Leg muscle, and D. Upper arm muscle. And the answer is option C. Leg muscle. Leg muscles are the strongest muscles in the body, and it should bear a greater stress when lifting. The muscles of the abdomen, back, and upper arms may easily injured. Find out the odd one. The options are A. Brain, B. Vertebral canal, C. Spinal cord, and D. Stomach. And the answer is option D. Stomach. Nervous systems contain brain and spinal cord and sensory organs, and all of the nerves that connect these organs with the rest of the body. Stomach is from the digestive system organ. So remaining 3 are the nervous system organs. So option D is the odd one. Using the rule of 9s, percentage of both lower extremities that is burned is, the option is 4.5%, B 18%, C 36%, and D 22.5%. The answer is option C, 36%. We'll see. In adults, a reasonable system for calculating the percentage of body surface is called as rule of 9s. So according to this rule of 9, each arm equal 9%, head equals 9%, anterior and posterior trunk equals 18%, and percentage of each legs equals to 18%. The sum of these percentages is 99%. We will see in diagrammatic representation. Rule of 9 for calculating burns. You can see in this image. So head 9%, upper extremities 9%, 9%, trunk and abdomen 9%, 9%, front 18% and back 18%, each leg 18%, 18%, and the anal region 1%. So together 18 and 18, 18, we call it as 36%. I think this video is helpful to you. So please like this video, comment in the commenting section, subscribe to my YouTube channel if you are a new member. Once you subscribe, click on the bell icon for recent updates. Thank you.